Hopefully want to get it right. Okay, let me get started. I thank everyone for joining my scope. For everyone that doesn't catch this scope or me on Facebook Live, please catch the replay. Please share this out to people. These are going to be some very transformative sessions that we're going to be able to have with each other, probably over the course of it, at least about the next 20 weeks or so. I'm going through this. I myself am a product of these 7 life-changing principles. For many people that know my story, if you do not know my story right now, you will hear parts of it as I'm actually reading from my book about the gigantic hole that I had dug myself in. Because right now I'm at a point in life where I don't blame anyone for my decisions that I continually to make after I left my childhood and into adulthood, irregardless of the painful things that happened to me as a child. And I do understand that a lot of us do go through painful things as a child, but the sword cuts both ways. Even if we go from the Bible, as a child, we do as a child does. When we become an adult, it's time to do as an adult does. Hey, Shadon, thanks for joining. That even means putting away our childish pains, and which a lot of people find that very difficult to do. So one of my things that I do as the reverse effect coach is I help people become ex-prisoners to their past and unlock the potential for their future. At the beginning of my scopes, of course, I'm going to be reading chapters from Thank You for the Hearts. Thank you for any hearts over here. Anyone, please share this out to other people. Give me some thumbs up. Let me know that you're here. I will be sharing from my book, The Reverse Effect, the 7 Life-Changing Principles. But often before I do that, I will read from a lot of the material that I got outside of my connection with God, of my learnings, sources that I felt that I was led to gain the understanding of the things that I believe that I understand now. And actually, there's really only one thing that I can say that I fully understand, and that's myself. Because the more that I learn, the more I find out that I still have a lot more to learn. Earlier today, if you've seen chapter 1, when we talked about chapter 1, go back on the replay and catch that, or go inside, if you're here on Facebook Live, go back and look at the earlier videos. And for my people that's on YouTube, see the previous video before that. We read from the book called As a Man Thinketh, with I must have inside my room because I don't see it right now. Today I'll be reading an excerpt that I got from this book called from Gary Zukav. Actually, I got this book because when I was looking through books about soul growth, I seen Oprah Winfrey and Maya Angelou both did a forward to this book. Turns out this guy was on Oprah's show about 38 times. And this book is called Seed of the Soul. Very enlightening, very transformative, very learned guy. So I'll be reading an excerpt that when I went through this, and it was actually talking about the power of choice. We'll be talking about that. And also, I'll be reading an excerpt from a book. I like this guy. He was one of the authors, Michael Beckwith, inside the Secret, one of the Secret authors. So I actually like a lot of the things that both of them said. And before I actually start reading on my chapter 2, which is positive perspective, and actually your perspective is my first principle for transforming your life, and I'll read more on that. But first I want to give out my disclaimer. This is my first time actually doing this. Normally I don't ever have to read out loud to anyone, so a lot of times I just read to myself. So I'm actually practicing my reading out loud for 2 reasons. One is I want to reach people out there that might need to hear this, and 2, I want to develop my skills well enough so I can change my book into an audio version. So let me step back. The first one is about change, and it's page 92 on Michael Beckwith's Spiritual Liberation book. It says, because you give it energy, it exists. And this is a lot to do with a lot of things, a lot of the obstacles, a lot of the things in our past that still exist to plague us right now. The only reason those things still exist is because we give it the energy to exist. So this is what he goes on to say. Where we invest our energy is a result of choice. No one outside of us forces us to invest our energy in any particular emotion, thought, or act. The energy investment choices we make are either conscious or unconscious. Either way, we direct the energy of our thoughts and emotion and gives rise to our experiences. So I skip down a little bit to say, if you are unconscious, then you do not take self-responsibility. So all that's left to do about your situation is to play the victim and complain to anyone who has the patience to listen. Oh man, do we have them people that all they want to do is complain to us? They don't want to do any action. But he goes on to say, in contrast, when you are conscious, you are aware of how the laws of the universe work. This positions you to take self-responsibility for the conditions present in your life, as well as for your healing and transformation. Then when you share with confidence something you are going through or have experienced in the past, you are not speaking from a disempowerment or a negative state of consciousness. You reveal what you have learned or are still learning from your experience that vitalize your life and evolve your consciousness. Very powerful piece right there. Pretty much like it's just basically saying we have to become conscious and we have to become aware of how we choose to deal with and react to situations inside life. Because that conscious state of awareness really empowers us to become the master of our circumstances, really piggybacking off of what I said in the chapter 1 inside my book, Becoming the Master of Your Circumstance. Very powerful. If you haven't read that, Spiritual Liberation by Michael Beckwith. Very powerful. Here, Seat of the Soul. Man, this guy, Gary Zukav, I really like this. A lot of these, I will say, aware people, one thing that they have in common, when you read their book, they all talk about things like nutrition, diet, and not diet like for weight loss, but like the Greek word for diet, which is diete, which is a way of life, not for weight loss. But they talk about quantum physics, about our vibrations, about our thoughts and our intentions, even down to a micro level, a quantum level. The same thing would even come from in the Bible when the Bible says, hey, we are accountable for our sins down to the very thought level, which for a long time took me to grasp that. But once you become accountable for yourself down to your thought level, oh man, you become powerful. You really start to become the master of your circumstances. And I'm trying to think of a day. We're going to have a day just for Q&As. I'll probably pick Tuesday or something like that. We'll just come on Scope and Facebook Live. And for anyone that's watching these inside the replays, we'll just take a lot of different questions and answers. I had a couple people actually want to get signed copies of the book. So as people started getting their copy of their books and reading along, they can have more questions. And as we get to the back, we actually have a goal achievement manual at the back of the book. Thanks for the hearts, everyone. Okay, so we're going to read from The Seat of the Soul. Millions of copies sold, both these books right here. So here's chapter 9 is choice. So he says, the center of evolutionary process is choice. It is the engine of our evolution. Each choice that you make is a choice of intention. You may choose to remain silent in a particular situation, for example, and that action may serve the intention of paralyzing, sharing compassion, extracting vengeance, showing patience, or loving. You may choose to speak forcefully, and that action may serve any of the same intentions. See, what you choose with each action and each thought is an intention. See, a quality of consciousness that you bring to your actions or your thought. The splintered personality has several or many aspects. One aspect may be loving and patient, another may be vindictive, another charitable, and another selfish. Each of these aspects has its own values and goals. If you are not conscious of all the different parts of yourself, The part of yourself that is strongest will win out over the other part. Its intentions will be the one that it'll be the one personality that you use to create your reality. Both of them, of course, very powerful, talking about intentions. Both of them talking about choice, and both of them actually talking about how those choices and those intentions is going to reflect your reality. And that reality, as we're going to get into my chapter 1 here, is your perspective. And so here we're going to, not chapter 1, so here in chapter 2 of my book, we're going to talk about the power of perspective. All right. Now, when I'm actually reading from my book, of course, I'm not going to read the whole chapter. I'm going to read what I think are the lessons learned. I'll probably talk a little bit about here. You can see, if you can see, the italicized parts are my actual story that or the experience that I went through to learn, to get the understanding from the points that I'm making inside the book. And of course, I'm not going to read the whole chapter. I'm going to take excerpts out, but you'll get the gist of it. If anybody, of course, wants to read the whole chapters, I have the book available in the Kindle version. I've actually reduced the price down to $2.99. If you got Kindle Unlimited, you can get it for free. I have an unsigned copy on Amazon. And of course, you can contact me directly and get you a signed copy sent directly to you. All right, so here we go. Chapter 2. The reverse effect, the 7 life-changing principles. And like I say, the first principle is your perspective. So I have it starting out. Principle 1, perspective. Perspective is a particular attitude towards or way of regarding something. It's a point of view. So when we have a certain perspective, it's just a point of view. Now, what a lot of people make the mistake in thinking is that their point of view also has to be someone else's point of view. I don't care if it's religion. I don't care if it's politics. I don't care if it's self-esteem. I don't care if you think it's good or bad. One of the biggest obstacles that I've learned to learn myself is that when I view something, it is just my point of view, and no one is obligated to have that same point of view. So in understanding that, I learned to get not mad when someone disagrees with me. So not even agreeing to disagree, I just realized they don't agree with me, even though they might have a valid point. It's just not the point for me, and I'm fine with that, which has been a lot of ups and downs to learn that lesson. All right, so here we go. Having a positive perspective is the first of the 7 principles for transforming your life. Perspective is a conscious interpretation of events and information. The most valuable quality about perspective is that we have the ability to define it as we choose, the power of choice. And a lot of people want to take that choice away from us. They want us to have their choice and their viewpoints. Learning to interpret your perspective in a positive manner is often the key to success or failure in life. Maintaining a positive perspective has had a remarkable impact on creative positive changes in my life. I know this way of viewing life circumstances will help you transform your life as well. But as par for the course, there are going to be situations that we cannot control. There are times in our lives when it seems that everything goes right, as if we're in a zone. Then there are times when it seems that nothing goes our way, no matter how hard we try. However, we can manage how we view them. This is our perspective, or your perspective. Your thoughts govern your choices and actions and the actions that you take in life. If your thoughts are negative, you will have a higher likelihood of making negative choices and getting negative results. On the other hand, maintaining a positive perspective is a shield against the crushing weight of disappointment and failure. It is the shining light when it seems you are surrounded by the darkness of despair, and it will aid in keeping you in sight of the bigger picture. So then I go on next as I tell a story from my life. Was about, I guess it's been about 5 or 6 years ago now. As one morning I woke up after and found that I had about $15,000 worth of lawn equipment when I had started a lawn service, and I woke up to find that it all was gone. And then I talk a little bit, how I dealt with the situation, but you can read that later. I'm just going to get right back to the meat of it. Okay. Having a positive mindset will always keep you moving forward, but it will not shield you from setbacks. The positive manner in which I interpreted my situation aided me in aiding me in refocusing to recover from what I had lost, and it had a cataclysmic impact on my livelihood. Pretty much took me from having income to broke. Being broke in a new city. At that time, I had 12 gold teeth. And if you know my story, of course, I had a felony background, and this was like 2009, 2010, at the height of the recession, when people with degrees couldn't get jobs, much less somebody with felonies trying to get a job and trying to be independent. And I just had to actually, fight through it. But one of the ways I fought through it is I maintained a positive perspective. And I go on to say, there will always be an action component to overcoming obstacles and to achieving your goals. Rarely do great things in life come easily. Taking action and having a positive perspective will increase the odds of your success. Once you stop making excuses and begin putting forth effort to get where you want to go, everything becomes possible. If you want success in life and if you want to overcome obstacles, your perspective has to change. I have learned the only two things you must do to accomplish your dreams is remove two things. That's the word easy and like from the equation. A lot of people have asked me outside of God, how did I change over from the lifestyle I used to live in order to live in this life of fulfillment that I live right now? And I told them easy. I had to just remove two variables from the equation, and that was easy and like. And then I go on to quote a verse from the Bible, which is Proverbs 23:7. It's the King James Version. For as he thinketh in his heart, so is a man. Listen, if you run around constantly being negative, constantly viewing things from a negative perspective, that's what your heart is. And though you might try to sugarcoat it to someone else, anyone with sight knows exactly what they're looking at. So when you're wondering why we're not getting the relationships that we want, why we're not getting the raises that we want, why we're not getting whatever it is that we think we deserve in life, check your heart. All right? So, and actually I starred this story right here. I'm not going to read a lot of stories, but this one was one that I had got from my granddad about perspective. And one of the things he said is, one of the stories he says, there was once an old man. Matter of fact, I know this by heart. He said, hold on. He said, there was once an old man. Hold on, I got to resume this right here. He said, there was once an old man who lived on a farm in a village. One day, he had one horse. And this one horse was the only thing that the old man had to help him plow his fields. One morning there was a bad storm, and the storm blew down the fence that held the horse inside. So when he came outside, the horse was gone. Everybody in the village came to him, and they was like, oh man, this is so sad, man. How you going to do your farm? The only horse that you had is gone. What are you going to do? The old man looked at him, and he said, So they left. All right. About a week later, the horse came back, and it had a mare with him. So now the old man had two horses. So the village people came back and they said, wow, what great fortune you have. Now you have two horses to help you to plow the village. And they looked at the old man. The old man was like, okay. About 2 weeks later, the son, his only son, tried riding the horse. The horse was wild, bucked the son off and broke his leg in a way that he'd never really be able to help in the fields anymore or really be of any serious work use. Of course, all the villagers and everything coming with their perspective on events, coming and saying, oh man, how are you going to survive now? What's going to happen? Your son broke his leg. That's so terrible for you. And the old man once again looked at him. 2 weeks later, there was a civil war. And the generals came and rounded up all the able-bodied boys to take them off to war, which was essentially a suicide mission. But they couldn't take the man's son because because he was maimed. So in that, is how you wait to view things from the bigger perspective, and always taking a positive perspective on things will help you get you through a lot of life circumstances. And that also piggies back on what chapter 2 was, is chapter 1, becoming the master of your circumstances and recognizing the big picture, not letting every little dink and dunk, every setback define your entire life, because that's what a lot of us do. Somebody can come up to you and ask you how you're doing, and you will say bad. Because of how you're feeling for one day or 1 hour, instead of looking at all the blessings that you received over your lifetime and looking at your life inside the entirety. That's the power of having a positive perspective. So I skip over a few things in here, and I actually go to the end of the chapter, and I would like to read this paragraph. When you are going through the trials and tribulations of life, it is often difficult to stay positive and keep your mind on the bigger picture. Like any other skill, it requires practice to maintain a positive perspective. You just don't reach positive perspective land and everything's all kumbaya and great. Your positive perspective and your happiness is something that you have to fight for. Hey, everybody, thanks everybody for the hearts. Please share this out to any people. Invite people to this scope. Share this out on Twitter. The same thing on my Facebook here. So I go on to say, when tough times come around, take a look at them as opportunity to become stronger. When you are met with adversity, just remember the saying, what does not kill you only makes you stronger. And at the end of each of my chapters, I have a thing where it says perspective, where I usually have my perspective on there. And it says, and I tell people, look, please don't wish me luck. Because wishing me luck means that you do not believe I have prepared to accomplish the goals on my own. That's what I tell people. Don't wish me luck. All right, that was chapter 1 inside my book. Chapter 2, I'm sorry. On our next reading, we will be talking about chapter 3, a negative perspective. And a lot of times, what I tell people is a negative and a positive perspective are two edges of the same sword. They both can cut. They both can help you progress. The only thing, the negative perspective takes something from your soul growth every time you use it to progress. Your positive perspective helps you grow, because other people can feel that energy and grow from that perspective. And I also say a positive and negative perspective is not, I don't view them from a negative aspect. I only view them as positive or negative to how it aligns to the achievement of your goal. You can help 100 people. And if that does not align to the achievement of your overall goal, that was negative. You can say no to 1,000 people. If that aligns to the achievement of your goal, that's positive. So that's how I view negative and positive. None of these are from a moralistic standpoint, because once again, these are only my perspective, so I can't take a moral stand against someone else unless they get it in the old boy way. Now, if you somehow step in the path that's going to be in my way, regardless of how I feel, I'm going to have to develop a plan to actually move you out the way. Hopefully, I can have an effective enough plan to make you think that you decided to move out my way on your own, or else I'm going to have to remove you. All right, everybody. So I thank everyone for joining. I do not know if I'm actually getting questions from anyone on here. Maybe because I see the hearts. Maybe I need to turn my Periscope on a different way. But if not, I'm going to be out. And I think we're probably going to have maybe Q&As, probably Sunday evening. Maybe I'll have a Q&A over what we've went over throughout the week on Sunday evenings. Or sometimes I just might have a surprise pop-in Q&A. So everybody just stay tuned. I thank everyone for sharing. Let's see. Okay, what does that say? Could you tell me your real name? Where am I from? I was born in California, but my dad was a Marine. So I moved around a lot. But actually right now I'm located in Jacksonville, Florida. Naya. Hopefully I said that right. Hey, thank you, Naya, for all the hearts. Or Neha. But yeah, that's where I was born in California. I've actually grew up in a lot of different places. Oh, I'm getting a little sweat on here. Actually, this reading out loud for me, it may not seem like it, but it's actually kind of nervous for me. because it's not something that I've done. But I know that I need to practice, and I know the easiest way to get better at something is jump in the line of fire. So getting out here for people, okay, thank you, Naya. As sometimes you have to, grow through the fire to get stronger. For anyone that's trying to connect with me, whether it be YouTube, Instagram, Periscope, my Facebook pages, Google Plus, Amazon, my website. The only thing you have to do is type Clinton and McCoy in anywhere, and you can connect with me. I thank everyone for viewing this. Till our next one, we're going to be talking about a negative perspective, because we need to talk about both sides and just keep moving forward. I thank everyone for joining, and remember, each one teach one. Always strive to be the strongest version of yourself. Never compare yourself to average people, or you'll never be more than average. Thanks. Okay, how do I end this?